I'm trying to get every Resident Evil Platinum by the end of this year. Today I'm getting the Platinum for Resident Evil Village. The plan is to get the Platinum in 3 playthroughs. Since I have never played this game before, the first one will be in easy mode, getting all of the collectibles and enjoying the story. Then I'll play the Mercenaries minigame, hopefully finishing every stage in rank SS to unlock the last saver for our next run. Right after, I'll do the second playthrough within 3 hours using only melee weapons. And finally, I'll play the game in the hardest difficulty, Village of the Shadows. The story starts a few years after the events of Resident Evil Biohazard. Mia and Ethan are married and they have a super cute baby called Rose. They live in Europe now to escape the horrors that they had gone through back in Louisiana. Mia is reading Rose a story at the start of the game, which is high-key extremely creepy, and I was wondering if I had started the wrong game. We start actually playing by putting Rose to sleep, and here I get the first trophy for kicking a ball from Rose's room into the study. Then Ethan goes downstairs and we start fighting with Mia. She does not want to talk about the events in Louisiana and basically wants to forget all about it. We are interrupted mid-argument by someone shooting Mia one too many times and killing her. We cured her from that thing she used to have, but who knows if she can even die anymore. Anyways, who else could it be other than Chris Redfield? I say that, but I was so shocked when I saw him. They take Rose and Ethan somewhere, but the car crashes or gets ambushed, I'm actually not sure, and Ethan manages to survive. But Rose was nowhere to be seen. So just like we had to search for Mia back in Louisiana, now we are searching for Rose. I played this game on the PS5 using the controller feedback, and it was so much more fun than Resident Evil 7. The gameplay mechanics, while similar, felt so much more smoother. I love the variety in weapons, especially having a sniper rifle, and the graphics were just so incredibly beautiful. The views from the castle and even the inside of the castle was just amazing. We roamed outside the village for a while, trying to make it inside the castle. Here, I earned my second trophy for crafting an item. And my first story-related trophy for surviving the Lycan attack. Lycans are one of the different type of enemies we encounter. They're low-key just werewolves. I will say one thing that was super underwhelming about this game compared to the other Resident Evils I played was that it was not scary at all. I'll talk about the main bosses later, but I never felt as scared as I did playing RE7 for the first time or playing RE2. The ambience was super crazy though. The small dark hallways could be a bit scary and sometimes there was some suspense, but I guess I'm also getting used to this type of games. We met a bunch of survivors, well, by a bunch I mean maybe 5, that survived the Lycan attacks. I also discovered my first goat, granting me another trophy. This is another type of collectible, you just have to shoot them. Kind of like Mr. Incredibles from Resident Evil 7. After everyone I just met literally dies, we finally made it inside the castle and met all of the bosses we would have to take on. Mother Miranda and her friends. We started by having to run away from the one dude that looked or was human. He made like a circuit we had to escape through, and once we escaped, I got another story trophy.
Wait, do those...
Now we were in the lady's castle. I cannot pronounce her name, so I'll just call her Lady. Here we met her and her 3 daughters, which we had to kill as we tried to find where Rose was. I accidentally got a trophy for using photo mode, and one for equipping a customizable part. The daughters were really easy to kill, could be because I am in casual mode and the aim assist for this game is actually insane. And after that I also used a lockpick for the first time, and I bought something from Duke.
Thank you for your...
Duke is this merchant dude that sells us stuff in exchange for currency. Everything from ammo to weapon upgrades. He also is low-key a nice guy, telling Ethan where to go and how to find Rose. I love Duke. After killing all of the daughters, we know that Rose is no longer in the castle, and Ethan is now trying to leave. Here, Lady follows you like a Mr. X. I swear Resident Evil loves to do this, but she was so easy to avoid and just disappeared a bunch of the times. I cleaned up the last 2 trophies I had to get in the castle. One for destroying all the windows, and one for combining a treasure into its complete form. Once we managed to get all of the masks to escape the castle, we fight against a mutated form of the lady, which was also super easy to kill and avoid. They give a lot of ammo in this game, which I love, so I just shot her a bunch of times and she died fairly easily. This form of hers looks super cool, but still not really scary. Regardless, I got the trophy for defeating her and now we're officially out of the castle. After killing her, we go back to the village, where my best friend Duke is sitting on his chariot, and we ask him where Rose is. Surprise, we have Rose with us. She's in this weird flask, or well, her head is, that we acquired at some point. I low-key forgot how, I'm assuming just by killing Lady. Anyways, Ethan thinks she's dead, but then Duke is like, don't fret, you can get her back. Just go get all her body parts. And so that's what we're about to go do. He explained that all of the other 3 bosses that we have to defeat, or Miranda's friends, are, and he also marks them in our map, like the kind guy he is. We make our way to the house of Beneviento, but before that I got a trophy for hunting an animal because I killed a chicken. Once we get close to the house, we see a hallucination of Mia holding Rose. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Mia is actually somewhere around the village, not gonna lie. This section of the game was interesting. The house was a little scary, some dark hallways and stuff, the usual. I didn't really like the gameplay itself here. It was solving some puzzles to escape. It was giving escape room. There was a Mia mannequin on the table where we had to get all the clues from. And when you solve it, which by the way was like one of the hardest things I've had to do, I literally had to look up a guide because I was stuck on it for what felt like hours. The monster baby things spawn and start following you. Anyways, we escape and downstairs we have to fight against the doll itself. The fight was super lame. You just run around looking for it, and when you find it, Ethan stabs it. At the end, when you kill her, it was revealed that she was a person, and then she dissolves into stone or whatever that is, and we get our trophy for defeating them. I was really excited about this section, but it was severely underwhelming. We move on with the flask containing Rose's legs. I got 2 trophies on the way back to the village. One for completing a labyrinth, which was this ball game to obtain an item, and one for pushing away an enemy after guarding. I don't know how I hadn't gotten this one yet, but I got it here. Now we had 2 out of 4 flasks and we're on our way to the next boss. On the way to the next boss, Moreau, I found the last outhouse getting the trophy for finding them all. This part was interesting. At first he was like just a guy super sad about the other bosses making fun of him and Mother Miranda being his mommy or whatever he was on. But then he mutated and was actually really fun to fight against. Once we fixed the windmills and the water level went down, we had to fight him outside of the water. This was by far the most fun fight in the game so far because it's the only one that actually took time. He was a bullet sponge, but it was nice to finally play against a boss that didn't die super easily. Once we killed him, we had 3 out of the 4 flasks, and it was time to go get the last one. I did a few miscellaneous trophies here while going for some collectibles. There was this puzzle that required you to set fire to one of the enemies, and that action had a trophy tied to it. I think this is the only place where you can actually do that. Then I went back to the field where a monster we had to kill was. This guy was high-key really scary. I think it is by far the scariest thing I've seen in the entire playthrough. Finally, we start making our way to the stronghold. The last dude boss told us he wanted to team up with us. I'm assuming to like kill Mother Miranda or something. I honestly could not tell you why, but he sets up some challenges for us. And if we win, we get the flask and then team up with him. I think. On our way there, I deflected a fire arrow with a knife, granting me another trophy. This took me like 3 minutes because I'm dumb and kept timing it hella late. Then I also killed 3 enemies at once for another trophy. Once inside of the stronghold, I got a trophy for defeating Urias, the big werewolf. Apparently this was a test the dude had for us. It was really easy. Now after this, we went back to the altar to place all of Rose's body parts in it. And in exchange, we got this giant chalice, which I had to place in the ceremony site, giving me yet another trophy. This next part of the game was genuinely painful to play through. I hated it. We meet up with Heisenberg and he basically tells us that he wants to use Rose to kill Mother Miranda because apparently Rose is super overpowered. I'm assuming this comes from Mia and she's like the daughter of Evelyn or something. Ethan is obviously like, no, that's my daughter. And so Heisenberg kicks us into the bottom of the factory. Anyways, this part sucks. I got 2 trophies here, one for shooting a soldat, a type of enemy, hanging from the production line, and one for defeating the mutated Heisenberg. As much as I hated this part, I have to admit that the fight was fun. Right before it, we see our boy Chris, and he explains to Ethan how the Mia he killed was actually Mother Miranda, who is a shapeshifter, so who knows how long Mia has been missing or where she even is. Ethan tells Chris that he wants to help kill Mother Miranda, and Chris surprisingly lets us. We kill Heisenberg as Ethan, but right after that, Mother Miranda comes. She mocks Ethan for a little and then rips his heart out, killing him. And now we play as Chris. He has some really OP weapons, or what felt like OP weapons at the moment, and it was actually extremely fun to play as him, at least on this difficulty. Right as we take control of him and walk for a few feet, I get a trophy for completing the village map, or in other words, unfogging everything.
One watch for hostile bio.
After playing with him for like 15 minutes, I got another trophy, this one story related, simply for finding this big baby. I don't know what he's called.
Captain, I have...
Right after, I also got the last goat, giving me the trophy for getting all 20. Then we reached Mother Miranda's lab, and all of the final collectible files were in here, so I read them all, getting yet another trophy. Inside her lab, there is a cell. We open it, and the real, actual Mia is in there. She tells us that we need to go get Ethan because he is special and not actually dead. Switching back to Ethan's body, Evelyn starts talking to him, telling him that, plot twist, he is dead and has been dead since Jack took him to the Baker house. His whole body is just mold. He closes his eyes, and when they open, we are being driven to Mother Miranda by our best friend Duke. The Mother Miranda fight was actually the best part of the game, at least again on this difficulty. Not because the gameplay was insane, but she looked like a Souls game boss, the music was really good, and it was just perfect. We take our baby Rose back, and Ethan decides to stay behind, God knows why, but Chris, Mia, and Rose all live on the helicopter. Turns out that the other company brought a bioweapon to the village, and Chris is all like, we gotta go fight them, or whatever, maybe setting up the plot for RE9. Anyways, here I got another trophy for completing the story in casual. It literally took me almost 9 hours. I don't know what I was doing that took me so long, but alas, we finished our first playthrough. Now time for the second step, the Mercenaries game mode. Here I want to get all of the stages in double S rank. I finished the first one in about 2 hours of playing and got a triple S rank. How awesome is that? And here I got the trophy for getting a combo of 30 in Mercenaries. I had no idea how terrible things would become. The first 4 stages, while challenging, are not impossible and they were a bit fun. I couldn't get a double S rank on them, so I opted for the S ranks just to get the trophy. However, once I moved on to the next 4 stages, I could not get a single S rank, if even finish some of the stages. It was extremely frustrating and I was not having fun, so for the time being I stopped and moved on to the other trophies. I decided to buy the DLC to get all of the extra content, so the laser knife plus all the weapons and infinite ammo for them. It was a really good idea to do that. The next playthrough I had to do was the knife only run. I played it on casual, again paired with a few other trophies, one for using less than 10,000 lei and healing less than 3 times, as well as the speedrun. This run was really fun. I only had issues at the start because I didn't have the laser yet. That first section took me like 15 retries, but once I got the laser, I was one-shotting everything. I haven't had this much fun playing a game in a long time, and after the horror that Mercenaries was, this was really a nice change of pace. I finished the playthrough in around 2 hours and 30 minutes, granting me the 4 trophies I was going for. After that, I started my Village of the Shadows playthrough. This was easier than expected, except for 3 sections in the game that actually made me so incredibly angry. I got a few miscellaneous trophies here, one for shooting down 5 flying crows, another for defeating an enemy from long range with a sniper. I also collected every crafting recipe and created all of those items. And finally, near the end, I equipped every weapon with their customizable parts and had only 777 lei in my possession. The 3 parts that made this game mode actually hard, even with infinite ammo, were the fight against Heisenberg, the fight against the big wolf with Chris, and the Mother Miranda fight. Heisenberg was just super aggressive and he kept killing me over and over again in like seconds. But I watched a video and once I knew what to do, it was not too bad. Same thing for the big wolf. Since Chris doesn't have a magnum, it was so much harder than it would have been with Ethan. But again, I looked up a strat and eventually got it. Mother Miranda was really hard to play against as well. Definitely the hardest boss in this difficulty. Honestly, I couldn't have done this without the infinite ammo, or well, maybe I could have in like 3 to 4 months or something, but I am so glad I bought the DLC for all the extra content. Truly worth it. Finally, I finished the Village of the Shadows playthrough, and with that, I got the trophies for completing the game in normal, hardcore, and Village of the Shadows difficulty. Right after that, I also got 2 other trophies for viewing all the concept art and for viewing all of the characters and weapon models. Now, the only trophy left is getting the S rank in every mercenary stage. I managed to get an S rank in 5 out of the 8 stages needed for the trophy. The ones I'm missing are the last 3 stages, which are super hard and frustrating, but I don't think they're impossible. I thought about giving up a million times. Playing as Ethan with the Limai was just not fun at all. So obviously, I bought the DLC and started playing as Chris. This was so much more fun than playing as Ethan. With only a few retries, I managed to get the S rank in all the stages, finally getting the platinum. Getting this platinum took me a lot more time than I thought it would. I played almost 60 hours, and a lot of those hours was in Mercenaries. Even though it took me so long, this game was honestly incredibly fun. The story was amazing, and just having so many weapons, and even playing Mercenaries was fun when you don't play as Ethan.